Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on the big episode 200. Today is August 2nd. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me, man behind the desk, as always, Mandrew Montemayor.
I'm just so glad to be able to I felt like this week and last week has been like the longest week.
Oh yeah? What's dragging you down, pal?
I don't think I told you, but there's kind of a reason why we didn't do so much last week. It's like my air broke and it's like 120 outside, and the people that came out like literally kept just fumbling over air. I had to call them out like 7 different times before they finally got it fixed. So I
go out there and give them a whooping.
I'm just ready for a weekend where I don't have to do anything. Hopefully just go home and just die on my couch.
Just play some games. Yeah, because it was weird because when we were going to record, it was like, I think from Wednesday to Monday, we were doing something each day. And it's just, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. You know, you got a lot of things going on. As far as episode 200, Casey was asking me too if we were going to do something big. And I was like, I wish we would have if we had more time to do something. But like, I'm just glad we're getting it going again. So that was kind of more of the thing. Because we have been talking... And I know we haven't done one in a while, like giveaways. It would have been cool to do something for 200, but hey, you know what? 250, right around the corner.
I just feel like we didn't have enough time, plus with all the rumors of new consoles and new this and pro versions of whatever come out, maybe once we know a little bit more about that stuff, I felt like maybe that's the direction we go in a little bit than just like a PS5. Do something a little more special.
A little more special indeed. So guys, thank you for joining us today. If you're watching the YouTube show, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. If you guys are interested in following us on any of our social media, our Linktree link is in the description. And if you guys are wanting to listen to the audio-only version of this podcast, check us out on the podcast platform of your choice. So before we get started, I got to give a shout out because there's a new store in town, and where we live in our kind of secluded spot in Arizona, we don't really, all of our cool video game shops and comic book shops are kind of gone. We do have the Wasteland, so shout out to Tim. R.I.P. Hastings. And shout out to Tim with Wasteland. He still does Dungeons and Dragons, and he does tournaments with Magic the Gathering and things like that. But there's a cool new shop owned by Greg, and it's called, if I'm doing the complete name, I believe it's Game Over Retro Video Games. And if any of you guys are watching this that live in our area of Arizona, it is on 1812 Highway 95, Suite 10. It's right across the street from the Safeway Plaza. I put up a Snapchat, and I had a bunch of people kind of writing me back of going, oh, where's that? Is that in town? And he's got a lot of cool stuff. He's got games, accessories, systems, magazines, some comic books. He's got a cool selection of like Japanese games, action figures. I actually just recently was there and bought me a complete in-box Super Mario Brothers 3
How much is
for
that?
a real decent price. I'll talk to you off camera because
all right.
if you go there and you mention Last Call is sending you there, I think he might be able to hook you up with something. So I bought this. Geno bought some strategy guides, some comic books. Every time we've gone there, it's been really cool. Have you not had a chance to stop by there yet then?
No, because you didn't tell me about it.
Well, it was actually because he had a spot down by Agave's, and I know he was waiting to get up and going. It was kind of like he's still going to run to the 2 stores. But then the day when Geno, he was actually off, he goes, oh, his new store is up and running. Do you want to go check it out? So we kind of just flew by the seat of our pants, went in there, walked around, got some video. The video that's playing might not be the best. We just did quick kind of phone video. I do want to go back in there and get some nice footage that we can use in the show in the end of the year. But it's so if you're coming from my house to Safeway, it's right before Tacos and Beers on the left side. So it's on the same side, and it's got some really cool stuff. A lot of boxes, a lot of cool action figures and stuff like that, dude. So it's a really nice store to have because we used to have like Game Exchange that I used to work at a long time ago. Awesome. We used to have Hastings, but we lost all that. Blockbusters are gone. Hollywood Video is gone. All we have left is GameStop. So it's really cool to see him come in here and set up a shop like that. And I told him we'd get him a Last Call shirt for him for that. So yeah, if you guys are listening to this and you go check it out, make sure you mention Last Call Gaming. And again, guys, that is Game Over Retro Game Store. So definitely go check it out. And I'd love to go in there with you and go see it.
Hey, if you're going to keep playing us in your store, we'll try to watch the language.
So yeah, it was really cool walking in there and he was playing it. So Greg, there's your shout out, my man. And super appreciate you. So with that being said, guys, before we get into our main topics, Andrew and I like to do, what are you up to? We take a second, we talk about the games we've been playing, the shows we've been watching, the movies that we've been checking out. So with that being said, Andrew, my friend, what have you been up to this last week?
I think since last time, especially if you guys have been watching me live, there was a few videos up, and sorry for some of them being a little weird. I don't know why the service I use to stream to YouTube, for whatever reason, I kept having to change all these settings that I never had to change before just to get like the game audio working, the mic audio working. But either way, I finished up Shadow of the Air Tree, so my adventure's on there, minus the last boss, which isn't on there because I just went in there to check him out and I accidentally beat him first try. Ooh. So sorry about that, but everybody else is in there, so if you want to follow my journey, I streamed it with a couple of my brothers, so you'll hear them in there, and we're doing a couple of the bosses multiple times, running around. I think it was the third or the fourth one. I labeled it Boss Rush, but essentially I had gone out. And so I think I'd mentioned this last time. I set it up so that way I could just go from boss to boss to boss to boss. And either way, it was a 10 out of 10 DLC, and I never buy DLC.
Nice. I saw you had a bunch up there. Do you want to answer the question now? Because we did have somebody write in about Elden Ring, or do you want to save it for the end? It's up to you.
No, let's get it now.
Okay, so hey, this is a little unorthodox, but we'll just jump ahead because this ties in perfectly. So this comes from Demon Slayer 88, and because you were just doing all your DLC. It says, with Elden Ring DLC out and seemingly doing well, some people complain about the $40 price tag. Thoughts? So is that a big concern right now? I mean, $40, it sounded like you were getting bang for your buck, but what's the big issue? What are people complaining about?
I don't know what it is. There was a lot of people just saying it's expensive in general because it's almost like the price of a game. But I felt
outside looking in, it does sound expensive to me as someone who doesn't buy DLC, because to me that is a game. But we bought games that are $40 and are full games. So yeah, I don't know.
And I paid more for games that are a lot shorter. So, I mean, if that's the way you're trying to justify it, I think that's totally worth it. Because I'd seen that question, so I even wrote down a few things of, what you're kind of getting or compared to other things. Like, I don't understand how you're comparing it. But I've seen people in YouTube comments, on Reddit, just posts, in Facebook comments, like, oh, I'm not paying for this, I'll get it later, yada, yada. And I don't kind of understand the mindset, and maybe it's I obviously we're in a blessed position, but for a couple of things, I want to say what stands out the most to me, and I think what makes DLC worth it, especially someone who doesn't buy DLC, it comes down to two things: timing and content. And what I mean by timing, most importantly for me, is how long it comes out after something. And I don't mean it as like, oh, I beat that game, I don't want to jump back in. As in, let's say this game came out at the start of this year and they just put this out now, I'd feel, I don't want to say ripped off, but why couldn't that have been part of the main game? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have DLC that's way too close to something towards its launch date, people always feel a little burned, like, well, why couldn't that have been a part of the game? Or clearly you're already working on that, why didn't you just launch with it? So I think that's a big part of it, and that's something to take into context too. This game came out in 2022, so it's been 2 years that they've been working on it. Yeah. And I even put, and again, it came out 2 10s, and I also wrote down another example. It'd be like Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk came out in 2020, and then it took them 3 years before they dropped that Phantom Liberty that also reviewed very well too.
Did you get the price of that one? Did you find out what Cyberpunk was?
Cyberpunk was $30, so $10 less than this, but still in that kind of same ballpark. And as far as content, from my understanding for both, it feels almost like a whole game. I can't speak to Phantom Liberty because we didn't get it. That is something we've been wanting to get, and it wasn't even a price point issue for us. It was more, there's just other things at that time that we were kind of playing.
Snowball.
But if you just want base content stuff, I just wrote down a couple quick little facts here for myself. That Elden Ring added 11 main bosses, so that's not counting all the little bosses that you'll encounter in random areas. I think it said there was upwards of like 80, because some of them are just like mini bosses, but 11 main bosses. Dark Souls 1, which that's a beloved game, launched with 13 main bosses, and if you're not just cruising through them, this map is big. I'd say it's probably the size of maybe like Dark Souls 1. I feel like I could finish Dark Souls 1 faster than this. I think the only reason that this would feel short is if you followed a guide on where to go and just ran through the main story. Because running through the main story, I think it's only like 5 bosses to beat the DLC. But then you're not, that's just an A to B line. Then you're not even experiencing anything else on the map. And that's the beauty of these games, is getting lost in this sort of world. And it also added new weapons, new play styles, so some of those weapons came in different styles. There's even like now you can put things on your hands or even just fight barehanded and your dude's doing like kung fu, like ninja style stuff. And I just want to put it out there. I mean, there's far worse things you can spend $40 on, and this isn't the same as DLC, but for $40 with Star Wars Outlaws, you get to play the game 3 days early, and their DLC season pass, which as of now I think is 2 missions, one of them involving Jabba the Hutt. So who knows how long that takes, or even what's encompassed in that season pass. And that's before the game even came out, that they're already charging you anything extra. So for something as beloved as this, that was Game of the Year, to put out the content like this that people also reviewed in tens, I'd say it was well worth the money. And me playing with other people, since if I would have, you played it before, I have to beat the boss, then we have to do it for you. I essentially beat the game 3 times, almost 4, because I was playing it with my brothers and a friend too. So I more than got my money's worth.
Yeah, because the way I gotta hear it too is like, this isn't something you're just gonna play once. You are gonna rebuild your guy, and it's FromSoft that does this. Yes. It's like, and you also gotta remember, this is a studio that gives out quality every time. And from what I was kind of looking at is, it's the DLC was like the same size as the main game, meaning that it's just as big, and if not, at least in terms of quality of what you're getting. I can see 40 on paper, especially when you compare it to something like Cyberpunk. Maybe sounds a bit high, but I think you get what you pay for. And if the quality is there and it's getting tens, then I'm not sure what you could be too stiff about. And the main thing, I guess, from a gamer side of point of collecting, I just heard that trophies and achievements were a big thing that people were hoping were there. But I heard FromSoft doesn't do that anyway with DLC. So
I don't think that they've done that with any of them. And sometimes what they do, when I hate, is like when I did I think the Dark Souls 2 remastered, you had to get some of the DLC stuff because that would encompass the base game achievements too. And it's like, well, now I'm just doing all this extra stuff for whatever. But the map size wasn't as big as the original one, but it's still a huge map. But I love that point. The quality is there for the main bosses that are there. They're individual. It's not like it's a reused boss, because they do have some bosses, like, like a tree sentinel, or they'll have 2 of them instead of fighting 1 or something like that out there. These, I love them front to back, and some of them even introduce people's new favorite bosses, people to cosplay as. I've seen nothing but people love it. And what it does for the lore, I thought was insanely good too, because it completely changed people's theories. And I do want to point out too that it's not like they just made this DLC like, okay, here, we're just going to put this DLC out and anybody could do it. You had to beat a certain boss in this game, and I believe before the DLC came out, they said only 32% of people had actually beaten that boss. I think even IGN said that their stuff wasn't going to be ready in time because they hadn't even, whoever was doing it, hadn't gotten past that boss yet either. So you had to beat a boss that was actually really hard, and he's not on the main path. He's someone you have to go out of your way to do just to experience this. So this is not just for every Joe Schmo. This is for the people like me that want to explore, want to experience something, and not just making a zip line A to B to say that I played it. Nice. Like, no, I experienced it.
Yeah, there's Elden Ring. I would definitely go play it, and all of its DLC intact. Now, I know they're making the bundle pack, which I think is going to be, is it $80 total if you rebuy the game with the DLC? Is that the new bundle, or is it?
I didn't look at it. I think that it was, and even still, it's still...
Makes it $40.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's still a good price for it.
Yeah, sounds good to me. What else are you playing?
And then, as far as... after that, I just started Kunitsugami, I think, like 2 days ago. I think I'm, like, halfway through it, maybe. And I'm really loving it. One, the art style is, like, beautiful. I love the enemies, like, the Japanese Toei gates, and pretty much you're fighting through, like, these different places on, like, I don't want to say like a mountainside, but I guess it is, and there's different little villages. I didn't think that I was going to like it because I'm not a fan of tower defense style games, but this doesn't really play like that. You do have your people the villagers that you can set up, and they do help, but I haven't really made it anywhere where I'm like, oh man, if I didn't have them, I'd be screwed. But what I ended up doing is I just upgraded one branch that I really liked. I used the archers, and I just had them set up, and they're just tearing stuff up while I'm just up there on the front line. So anything that gets past me has to get past however many people are back here, and they're just getting mopped up. So I don't feel like it's like one of those things like, oh man, I don't have anything set up right, so whatever's getting past, and now I'm losing, and I'm getting frustrated trying to figure out this puzzle. there's ways you can brute force your way through it. If you want to experiment with the other classes that you're getting along the way, you can. I kind of am now to where I have the thief out there to get like treasure chests and get me extra crystals so that way I can level up my guys. But I feel like it's pretty easy, and I'm loving it so far.
And another Game Passer.
Another Game Pass game that I think this game might have launched at like $40 too, but a great Capcom game. I'm glad they did something like this, that I would love to see more stuff like this.
Perfect. And then watching, we'll save that for the end, right?
Oh yeah, what we're watching, I'll talk about a little bit later.
So as far as what I've been up to, I did end up watching something that I kind of just snuck up on me. So Batman, the Caped Crusader. It was something I've been waiting for, and I didn't realize because today's August 2nd. It came out yesterday, August 1st, on Amazon. 10 episodes. All 10 episodes are actually out, so I binge watched the whole thing. And it's interesting because it's a 7.7 on IMDb, 75% general watchers liked it, 100% as of when I record, or when we're recording this, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. If I had to lean on it, I'd probably be closer to the 7.7 side of it. But if you aren't familiar with it, it's in the grim Gotham City, affluent philanthropist Bruce Wayne goes beyond his human capabilities and transforms into an enigmatic figure, Batman. His crusade for justice brings in unexpected allies, but his actions also lead to perilous consequences. Now, what was really cool about this is that Bruce Timm, who's the creator of the original animated series, is a part of this, and you can completely see the vibe. The tone is all there. J.J. Abrams is on as the producer, so the quality is really nice. It's got a very heavy, dark noir style. Batman's doing a lot more detecting. He's actually leaving bugs around and listening and following people. People are using Tommy guns and six shooters, so you can tell it's kind of an old school style of Batman. It's very mature. There's probably a death in every episode, you're actually watching people get blown up, knives in people's back, people getting shot. So this is a mature Gotham City that's realized. So it's really kind of cool that when HBO got bought out by Discovery, I believe, and Zaslav was coming in and axing a lot of projects like he did with the Batgirl project. This was one of the projects that was getting canceled until Amazon purchased it from him and was able to stream it. Now,
is that where this is?
That's where this is on. Yeah, it's on. Did I not mention Amazon? It's on. Yeah, it's on Amazon now, and you can watch all of it. Now there are changes because I didn't know how they were going to reinterpret it from the old Batman and Batman Adventures and all that. So I'm not going to say that any of this is wrong because a lot of people that are mad at the show are saying that it's woke. I'm just telling you what the changes are made, and this is kind of the controversy that's circling around it. So again, not saying any of it's wrong. I'm just letting you know what's going on with it. The first two things are that Alfred Pennyworth and Detective Montoya are kind of both heavier, overweight people in the show versus that traditional skinny Alfred, older, gray hair. One of the things I didn't like is that Batman, as far as I know, he never calls him Alfred anymore. He keeps calling him Pennyworth, which kind of bugged me a little bit.
It only bugs me because when they introduce Damien, that's what he calls him all the time because he treats him like a butler, like an asshole.
Exactly. And speaking of bug, Firefly now his name is now changed to Firebug. There are some race swaps. Jim Gordon and Barbara Gordon are now African American, which is perfectly fine. Jeffrey Wright in the Robert Pattinson Batman, we've already seen that, but that was having some people up in arms. Harley Quinn now, they went back to the jester kind of court look, but she's now Asian in the show. The two lawyers, Barbara Gordon's now a lawyer. Lucius Fox is now a lawyer. One of the things that...
You say Barbara Gordon's a lawyer?
Yeah, she's a lawyer now, going to go against Harvey Dent, and Lucius Fox is Batman's lawyer. Two-Face, dude, so it bugged me because I was looking... spoiler alert, Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face at some point in the show. And I was looking at him like, that seems off to me. And his face is the other side. So I looked at a picture of every Two-Face from everything, and they're all on the left side, and his isn't. His is on the right side. But with that being said, it's a really cool looking Two-Face. So I think they really did a good job. But the one that's got everybody up in arms is that they changed the Penguin from Oswald Cobblepot to Oswalda Cobblepot, and it's now like this big 6'2" woman.
That sounds cool.
Who's gargantuous, and she goes toe to toe with Batman, and she's got like these two sons in it. But I know a lot of people were kind of freaking out because they're like, oh, well, she's not a penguin anymore, and all she's got is kind of the beak and the monocle. So again, nothing I'm saying is wrong with it, but those were kind of the biggest controversy that was circling around it, because there's a lot of people giving it 10s, obviously with 100%, and then a lot of people kind of bombing on it, and those, it's kind of up for you if you think any of those reasons bug you, because for me, what bugs me is the little things, him being called Pennyworth, and Two-Face's face not being on the right side, because I was just like, no, that's not right to me, but...
None of that would bug me. I hate when people act like, oh, well, here's a new adaptation. It's like, don't watch it. No one's saying that this is now Batman Prime Earth 1, that going forward, this is the continuity for everything.
You think you're going to check it out?
Yeah, I want to. That's funny because I have Amazon. I have Amazon Video, but I hardly ever go on there, so that's why I didn't see anything. I was like, I don't remember seeing anything on HBO or anything.
I'm trying to remember why I was on Amazon the other day, but I saw that it popped up, and I was like, sweet, I'll start watching.
Who voices Batman? That's my biggest thing.
Oh, I think I just exited out of it.
Was the voice good? At least give me that.
Yeah, he does. I think I did write that down. The guy that
did he try to do like a Kevin Conroy or his own?
Well, I was reading some of his history, and I can pull his name up in a bit. He does a really good distinction between his Bruce Wayne and his Batman. He's no Kevin Conroy, but in his interview, he was saying how heavily influenced he was by him, and he wanted to make it his own. But yeah, you can.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, he does a difference when he's as Batman, when he's Bruce Wayne in the car with Alfred, and then when he's Bruce Wayne out in parties, and it's probably the best part of it. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So as far as what I've been playing, I did beat Rise of the Ronin, but that was a week or two ago. Excellent game. If you got a PS5, I would say check it out. But Assassin's Creed...
Better than Ghost of Tsushima?
No.
Obviously.
No, Ghost of Tsushima is fantastic. And it's more my style of gameplay than a Team Ninja game. But I did just beat Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered, which builds on the award-winning naval experience from Assassin's Creed Black Flag as you cast off in your ship, the Morrigan, and fight your way through the icy seas of the North Atlantic and the narrow waters of the Americas river valleys on every system. It initially came back out in November 11th of 2014.
See, I don't remember this one.
Yeah, this one it was interesting because when it came out at the same time as Assassin's Creed Unity. So when that generation split, there was Rogue that was for 360 and PS3, and then there was Unity that came out for Xbox One and PS4. So at that point, I had the Xbox One, so I bought Unity, never went back and played Rogue. So out of all the mainline Assassin's Creed game, that was the only one that I've never beaten, and I bought it a long time ago because usually you can find it on sale for like $19. But Sam's been in here playing because after she beat Hogwarts Legacy, she wanted another game that was kind of like that. So I showed her a couple things. Skyrim, she wasn't digging it. I showed her a couple other ones, but we landed on Assassin's Creed. She's loving it. So while she was playing that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to play Rogue because it gives me a chance to do it, and we were playing Assassin's Creed side by side. So it was fantastic, and now I can say I'm finally done with all of the Assassin's Creed outside of things like Liberty and Freedom Cries and things like that. So my Assassin's Creed tenure has come to an end until the next one finally comes out. So with that being said, I guess I got to point out, the cool thing about Rogue was that you get to play Shay, who's the first time, he's an assassin who's gone rogue and becomes a Templar. So it's the first game, it's number 7 in the series, where you actually play the other side, killing assassins.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It was actually a really cool concept. I would have been amiss if I would have left that part out. So with that down and out of the way, guys, leave your games you've been playing, all the stuff you've been watching down below. So let's move into our main topic, and that is that the Yakuza Like a Dragon game series is turning into a show called Like a Dragon Yakuza, which I thought was kind of interesting. At least that's the way the wording is.
That's how they all are now going forward, is that all the games are Like a Dragon.
Okay, because I remember I was looking a bunch up, I'm like, it's because like 7 was Yakuza Like a Dragon. So there's a couple things coming out about it. There's a new teaser trailer that launched, and again, that's going to be on Amazon Prime. Like a Dragon Yakuza will drop a total of 6 total episodes on Prime Video. The first batch of 3 is set to premiere on Thursday, October 24th, with a second batch of 3 headbutting its way to the streamer on Thursday, October 31st. Like a Dragon Yakuza aims to be a Prime Video's next big live-action video game adaptation. The Japanese crime thriller takes its inspiration from Sega's insanely popular game franchise, which was itself inspired by the Yakuza movie genre of the 80s and 90s. It will stream in over 240 countries and territories. So, I don't know, man. There's a couple more things I want to just point out, but you're hearing it's coming out. You're a huge Yakuza fan. And I'm going to say Yakuza, even though some people say Yakuza. I think you say Yakuza sometimes. So, how do you feel about this coming out, man? Another video game adaptation. This you can't really see much from the teaser, but from what I saw, I mean, it looks cool.
I'm insanely excited. I was so excited when I seen it because I don't even think I had heard that they were doing like a show or anything like that. And then a teaser trailer popped up, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then after watching, I was like, "Dude, this looks so good." They already have
and it comes out in October.
Yeah, they already have like a live adaptation movie that I think is in like Japanese. Obviously, it's not in America. And I watched like parts of it on YouTube, and even though it's a little cheese, but the game can be cheese sometimes, it totally fit that I'm like, you know what, I wish I had like more of this or something more modern, and it looks like they're going to give it to me. I like that they're doing 2. I would prefer all at once, but if you're going to do 3, don't do 3 and then 1, 1, 1, 1. I like the 3 and 3 drop. I'm just super, super excited, especially after how good Fallout was.
Yeah.
That I am extremely hyped for this.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and that old movie, I'm like, there's an old movie that they did, and I probably, if I remember to download it, I'll throw it up.
You watched part of it?
I had it pulled up. The characters look pretty good. It's just the movie looks super cheese, but that doesn't stop it from being fun to watch. So I'd be curious of what that was. But one of the things I just want to point out to get it familiar with you guys is that what it's about. And I probably won't say a lot of these Japanese correct or accurately. So what this is about. Prime Video's official synopsis reads, the series depicts the lives of fierce yet passionate gangsters and people living in a huge entertainment district, Kamurocho, a fictional district modeled after the violent Shinjuku wards. What is it? Kabukicho?
Kabukicho, yeah.
All these are bad for me. That acts as the backdrop of the gameplay. The show will center on the conflict between Yakuza warrior Kazuma and his childhood friend turned foe Akira, aka Nishiki. That's what probably brought out the essence of creating a new version, said Kento Kaku, who plays Nishiki in the series. We were able to dig deeper into the emotion aspects, probably more so than the game. So from what I'm hearing, and again, I've only played 0 and 1, it sounds like they're starting this from 1 and not a 0 point or perspective. Is that where you would want to start from a Yakuza standpoint? Because Like a Dragon didn't start until Game 7. If they're still going to be calling it that, does that work for number 1?
Well, that's what it's always been called in Japan. Okay. In Japan, it's always been called Like a Dragon, and then whatever the subtitle is. And here in America, they just didn't think that name would do good. Yakuza's like more capturing, so it just sounds better. So yeah, it just sounds like pretty much they're taking stuff from 1. I think that is a good starting point, and I don't know that I'd want to say like, oh, you should start from 0, because it's kind of hard to say that, especially since I started the game with 0 first. There's days where I wish I would have started with 1. I think maybe what I'd prefer is do 1, see how well that does, and then do 0 as a prequel, almost like Spartacus style.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool, yeah.
So I think that'd be really good. I don't think there is like a wrong place to start, and I don't know that I'd have a preferred. Or, I mean, you could always just do like a lot of flashbacks, or, you know, how many episodes, because who knows what the first 6 are going to entail, over if that's going to encompass the whole game, or where they're going with that story. There's so much and who knows what they're changing.
Yeah, and it's cool that they're going to be doing these 2 guys, because I know number 1's extremely popular, which brings us into kind of what they're going to be, when they're going to be doing this. So Yakuza takes place in 2 time periods. The program will take place in 2 time periods, 1995 and 2005. A lot can change in a decade, and to represent that properly, Takuchi said director Masahiro Take assigned a specific color palette for both years. And if you guys have seen the thumbnail, you can see the kind of warm and bluish colors. I think even the characters are represented in warmer and hotter colors in 1995 versus how they are in 2005, which is more cold and blue, Takachi said. I think the contrast is really important. Taki-san has always been saying that you just don't want to look cool or stylish in the 1995 scenes, because that's going to happen in 2005. So that does seem, again, on par with what the game does, right? I mean, I won't spoil it for you if you don't know why there's a time gap, but a time gap does happen, and it seems like that's what they're going to be doing. So, I mean, a little more true to the main purpose of the story, right?
Yeah, it seems like so far it just sounds like they're taking the essence. I mean, we're really not going to know like how faithful it is until when it comes out, or at least get a bigger, broader trailer. But I mean, so far it's sounding like everything I'd want. Because again, I don't always just want to see a one-to-one adaptation. You know, this is a great series that's got a rich history that you could take lots of liberties with. You know,
yeah, and especially when you see
like
shows
really make it your own.
Yeah, when there's shows like Warrior out there, and I forget what that other show I watched. It was Brothers something. With how fast and cool combat can be, I'm really looking forward to this. But the more important thing that I kind of caught, so what I was reading from before, the links are from CNET, the links in the description. There's more things that it kind of points out, but the main one I kind of wanted to read was from Game Rant, and it's saying how what Yakuza is going to be missing, a key feature, and it says the Yakuza TV show coming to Amazon Prime this year may not have all the storytelling elements the series is known for. Yakuza is known for its serious crime drama story, coupled with outrageous side quests known as sub-stories sprinkled in for comedic relief. Some of these quests involve fighting men in diapers, ridiculous scams, or racing toy cars in sensational fashion. In a recent interview with The Gamer, Ryoma Takuchi was asked if we would see Kiryu, I always say his name wrong. Kiryu partake in some of the wild activities included in sub-stories from the Yakuza games. We don't have that much in this iteration, replied Takeuchi. I think we're digging into the human emotions and the emotional elements of the characters in this iteration. And as somebody, Andrew's played like all the Yakuzas. I've played 1.5, but I'd argue most people would remember the Yakuzas, or at least what stands out to them, is the zaniness versus like the hardcore storyline. So do you think it's smart that they're going to get rid of kind of what makes it iconic and focus on like a Street Fighter type style?
As long as they have maybe like a nod to it, or like there could be like scenes or something like that sprinkled in that adds to it, that would be enough for me. I don't need to see a whole episode of him doing karaoke and then, you know, driving the race cars and all that stuff. You know, maybe they step into a wrong building or something. Even like a 5 to 10 minute scene or something like that would be enough to tide me over, because again, those missions are there for gameplay, to take a break from a serious story. When I'm watching a movie or something like that, that'd be a little weird. Like, you're on this super serious with this imagine trying to watch, I don't know, Saving Private Ryan, but this guy stops to oh look, there's an earthworms are coming out on the ground and it's collecting them. Help me collect these worms, like, you know, just to break up that vibe. That I could totally understand that.
Yeah, and I could see if you're trying to get away from, because obviously any of the game players are going to know what's in there, and if it's missing at all, sure, you might be disappointed, but as any new fans would be watching it, you'd be looking at this thing going, and if you're sticking to good storyline and awesome fight scenes, I think that's what's going to attract more of the new people versus the gamers who already know about the silly stuff.
Right.
So that's kind of as much as what I've got to say to point out, unless there's anything you want to say, because all I could say is that at least it's in good hands, because like we were pointing out, Andrew was pointing out earlier, it is from the guys who just made Fallout, who a lot of people were shaky on, and that ended up walking out with 16 Emmy nominations, including Outstanding Drama Series. So if anyone's going to take a crack at something like this, at least it's coming from the guys who just did a phenomenal job with a property people weren't sure was going to handle well.
Yeah, and I mean, if you are a little bit worried, they do have an interview. I forget his name, and I would butcher it anyways. But
yeah, like me.
The director of RGG Studio, who makes the Like a Dragon games, and he's actually already seen it, and he said it was great. And he's like, my big complaint is that someone's going to get to the end of an episode and going to be craving more, that it's that good. And he says he appreciates the liberties that they took with the character and made it their own while still retaining that story and that feeling. So I mean, if the person who makes the games is loving it and can back it, then what more do I need?
Yeah, outside of a few directors though, it's really hard to find somebody that's part of the IP to like badmouth something that they want to promote. But hopefully it does. I mean, I can't wait to see a bigger trailer, and it is. I can't believe it skated this far. We're in August and it comes out in October, so it's like I want to see what that first full 1.5, 2-minute trailer looks like.
I was gonna say, it's funny saying like people backing stuff, but I feel like that's more an American thing than over
like
there,
like honor and stuff.
Yeah, than like a culture thing. So when he says it, I believe him. But if it was like I don't know, someone from over here, I'd be like, no, I'll wait and see.
Nice. So guys, leave your thoughts down below of what you think about a Like a Dragon Yakuza TV show coming to Amazon in late October. So yeah, I mean, fingers crossed for that one. And perfect time, because there's so many, a lot of them still on the Game Pass, right?
Yes.
If you do want to play the games, like I have more motivation than ever to finish. It's not just called Yakuza 1. What am I playing?
Kiwami.
Yeah. So now's the time to jump into that, because you can play them all, and then you can kind of know these characters at least from a certain perspective, and be in on the jokes. If you do see something, if he's walking by and you do see a guy dancing in a diaper, you'd be like, I know where that's from. So.
I'll say I do think we'll get more too, because they said that they are going to announce their big project, whatever that may be, in September, I think at like TGS. So that'd be the perfect time to see another trailer just before October.
Nice, perfect. So leave your thoughts down below, guys. So with that being said, let's move into our main story, and that is an unfortunate one that Game Informer is shutting down after 33 long years. Now,
Insane.
Now there's a lot behind this, so I'm gonna kind of saddle up and ride. So here we go. Game Informer has announced it's shutting down after 33 years after GameStop reportedly told the publication it was closing immediately. They were all laid off and they would begin receiving severance terms. Game Informer took to Twitter to share the news, saying, "The final level farewell from Game Informer. After 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. From the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honored to share this incredible journey with you, our loyal readers." The post continues, "While our presses may stop, the passion we have for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end." Now, Kotaku reported that Game Informer staff was brought into a meeting on Friday, August 2nd, with GameStop's VP of HR. In the meeting, they were told the publication was closing immediately, they were all laid off, and they would be receiving their severance packages, as mentioned earlier. Game Informer magazine content director Kyle Hillard took to Twitter to share more about his shocking news, revealing that the team was about 70% done with the next issue, and it was going to have a great cover. Game Informer video lead Alex Van Anken confirmed on Twitter that there are many members on staff who didn't even know what was happening, quoting saying, "There are still a lot of us who don't know what's happening, yet there's a tweet that someone higher up posted spilling the news. I'll have some stuff to say later today, but yes, everyone at Game Informer was laid off about an hour ago." Finally, Game Informer was founded in August 1991 when FuncoLand began publishing an in-house newsletter. GameStop took over for Game Informer when it purchased FuncoLand in 2000, and it had become the longest-running video game magazine in the world. In 2011, Game Informer was actually the third largest magazine in the U.S. with over 8 million copies in the wild. Game Informer's website has been around since 1996. Game Informer's last issue, number 367, featured Dragon Age: The Veilguard as its cover story, and it had yet to reveal what issue number 368 would have been. So, that's a lot, man, and it's really unfortunate. What's really crazy, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, is I was literally just the other day, because I've been moving some stuff around, and I have Game Informer magazines like in every room, and I was almost like, you know what, I'm just going to toss these. Like, I don't need them. There's always going to be more to come. And I was like, you know what, I'm not going to, because I miss my EGM, I miss my PSM, I miss my Nintendo Power magazines. I'll leave them around for now. And then actually today, before you sent me the story that was going on with it, and I was actually on my phone looking, because I was looking at my GameStop app, and I was like, you know what, let me see what my Game Informer app has, and I'll throw the picture up if you guys are trying to look at it. And as of right now, you can still buy digital copies of the Game Informer magazines, with some being free and some being, charging $3.99, $4.99. It's really unfortunate, because when you lose that final print, I mean, there's something to say about something that's tangible and something to hold on to and something to read. And again, I've missed my old magazines, and Game Informer was that for so long. So it's extremely fortunate to hear that it's happening. It's even shittier to hear how it was happening. So you read it, you've heard what's going on. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, we know it's a dying industry, but it's like that's a dirty move, and it's like, and GameStop was just coming back in a shining light. So I mean, I don't know what to think. Yeah,
it's kind of terrible the way that they did that. I mean, nobody should be done like that. And I don't think I've gotten one in a while, because for some reason, even though I was subscribed, they just stopped mailing them to me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, whatever. I don't read them too much anyways. Even though, actually, a lot of times they would have a lot of brand new news, because they would have their game of the month or something like that, or it'd be something for an upcoming game, so you're getting fresh information. So they still did have information before anyone else did that other sites would report off of that. So it's not like they were just regurgitating the same thing that everybody else is. And I think what's even weirder is I want to say maybe it was like the start of this year or something like that. I wish I'd looked it up, but wasn't there that thing saying that Game Informer was like going solo and you could like subscribe to it just by itself without having a GameStop membership or anything? They were like separating.
That's what I think the app was. I think you could do it digitally. I think the app could do it. So I'm saying the app still works, but as far as you going to like the actual website, the website's already shut down and it redirects you to that post that I read previously. So yeah, I believe it was, and you could, and that's what you could do separately. But I mean, now what do you do? Because what happens to the people that still have subscriptions for the year? Are they going to refund them? Are they going to transfer it all to digital? I mean, that's going to be. It's so funny because earlier I was looking at it because my GameStop thing asked me to subscribe and get the subscription. And now, what would have happened if today I would have signed up for it and they charged me for the? I mean, it's only $15, I believe, for the year, but it's like. That sucks if you're not going to get your money back if you didn't get half of what you paid for.
Sure, you're not going to get it back.
That money's long gone.
Yeah, so it definitely sucks to see. It's that I mean we have some cool even right now looking on your wall right there. You have a huge Game Informer. We have the signed Legend of Zelda ones from the GameStop thing. So I love the covers. I love the art. I did enjoy reading them when I did get them, but. Again, it's not like it was my every month I'm looking forward to that Game Informer. It is something that I hit or miss, and I guess eventually just hit maybe a cost versus production thing.
Yeah, hey, R.I.P. Game Informer. R.I.P.
Yeah, definitely an end of an era for sure. Like that was super out of nowhere, and I'm just like, man, that does really suck.
Yeah, and it sucks when it's like, again, I mean, I didn't know that it was. I mean, it makes sense that it's the longest running one. I didn't know it was. In the top 3 in the world at one point in time against every magazine, not gaming magazines. Like Game Informer was one of the biggest in the world, and it's just like, I mean, if it can happen to them, it's. I mean, there's even. Well, just we're just losing too much, man. And just, I mean, are you gonna hold? You have still have a bunch of you holding on to them now. You think? I mean, there's people out there that probably have huge collections of them. I don't see them skyrocketing in price like old EGMs or things like that. But
no, it's a nostalgia thing.
Yeah, at some point, I mean, those covers were still. Pretty awesome. I think the last one, however many were out, because they said there was only 70%. If there's a copy of that somewhere, that might be, I guess, worth something.
No, I think I got rid of mine. Mine were in a box and I had like a leak in my garage, and they got like messed up. But it is crazy, you know, that I felt like I got more, and I don't read this other stuff, and I don't know why people do pay for it. But it's like I would rather, if I had to pay for a subscription, pay for something like this. And I feel like get more value out of it than like the fucking New York Times or the LA Daily or whatever, you know?
Yeah, for all your gaming information. So, I don't know. It's unfortunate. Anything else you want to say about Game Informer?
R.I.P. Sorry.
R.I.P. So
we'll pour one out for you.
With that down out of the way, guys, we're going to move into questions of the week. Now, guys, if you want to leave questions that I can answer on the show, you can do so a couple of different ways. You can leave them at the bottom of our YouTube show in the comment section. We can grab them there. You can email us at lastcallproductions@gmail.com, or you can find me on social media at Craig Perales, and we can take them there. Now, we already read Demon Slayer 88, so we just have one left to do, and that is from Chris Trejo, and they write, "Tell me you guys saw Deadpool and Wolverine." Yes, that movie was absolutely insane and is killing it in the box office. Did you guys expect it to be that good, or were you blown away like I was? So yeah, there's a lot to kind of put in context with Deadpool, if you guys will indulge me, and then we can dive into as much of it as we want. I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but I just want to put it to show you guys what it's been doing. Well, first, it's getting mixed reviews, and I don't know how. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 78, Metacritic has it at 56, IMDb has it at 8.2, and general viewers of it have it at 90%. So this is Deadpool's peaceful existence comes crashing down when the Time Variance Authority recruits him to help safeguard the multiverse. He soon unites with his would-be pal Wolverine to complete the mission and save his world from an existential threat. Now, the movie released on July 26th, and it's having one hell of a ride. Now, I went to go see it on the midnight release on Thursday. I went with Sam and I went with Denny. Before we dive into some of the numbers that it's doing, when did you actually end up going to go see it?
I went and saw it on Sunday, and I went to Havasu because I had another appointment out there for something else. And so I think we saw the 11:31 at the movies place out there. And there was it was actually really nice in that theater. I think there was only maybe 30 people in there, and there were like comic book people, so not like nothing against kids, but not bringing kid, like, nobody was, like, talking or murmuring or...
Well, at least with this movie, it'll be hard because it's a rated R movie. But that's not to say... Because I think the statistic that they were pointing out was 11% of moviegoers that were coming out of theaters were under the age of 16. So, still a decent chunk of kids going to it. But yeah, I think this one would be... Was it laughing? Were people gut busting?
Yeah, no, it was great. Like, it was... a great experience watching it in there.
Yeah, I had a blast too. I actually ran into Tim too. So Tim, you get another shout out, you dick dastardly dog. So this article comes from a couple of days ago, but just I want to read it and I'll kind of adjust it as we have to. Let's see, it was bound to be bigger. Marvel Studios and Disney's Deadpool and Wolverine is now the 6th biggest opening at the domestic box office with $211 million, in addition to breaking the world record for an R-rated movie's first weekend at the BO. And those numbers have gone up. This is after a better than expected Sunday of $53.5 million. The global opening is now $444.1. Now those numbers are different. I'll jump into those later when I compare all three of the movies. But the movie itself... it's now the number one R-rated movie of all time, where the last movie that it beat was Deadpool 1, which was $132 million. So this movie dwarfed it by $80 million, just around $80 million to beat it for the highest rated R movie of all time, which is a very impressive feat. And then beyond that, it's becoming the 6th of all time, not just rated R movies, not just comic book movies. So it sits behind... let's see, Avengers Endgame at 357, which is probably impossible for anyone to get close to ever again. Spider-Man No Way Home at 260, Infinity War at 257, Star Wars The Force Awakens at 247, The Last Jedi at 220, this movie coming in at 211, and passing Jurassic World at 208. Now, it's got some big numbers, and it's a fun fact to point out that every movie that's in the top 10 box office has hit the $1 billion club. And I think it's fair to say that this movie is going to do the same. So just for context, to put it against Deadpool 1 and 2, Deadpool 1's domestic opening was $132 million. Its worldwide was $782. Deadpool 2 domestic opening was $125 million, and its worldwide was $785. So just a tad bit bigger. This movie's been out for... let's see, a week now, and its worldwide total is already at 630 in a week, and its domestic opening is at 211 mil. So, dude, this thing is beyond crushing it. Like, that's an understatement if you can't wrap your head around what Deadpool and Wolverine is actually doing. And if you go to Deadline, there's actually a couple other things of records that it was actually beating, but what was the one that I had? Oh, one of the ones that now, because this movie is out, is that it's put Marvel, the full MCU, the franchise, at a total of over $30 billion out of 34 films, meaning the MCU is averaging $1 billion per movie. So, in terms of that, I mean, does it shock you at all that Deadpool and Wolverine is just busting every number wide open?
No way, especially when you bring back like someone with a rich history. Depending on what era you grew up in, that you would just have to see it for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine appearance alone.
Yeah, alone. So those are some of the numbers behind it, and again, you can look up a bunch of other statistics. So as far as what we feel about it, and again, our best to do no spoilers. I don't know how you want to attack it. I just wrote down a couple things we could dive into: the story, the characters and the cameos, the Ryan Reynolds magic, the Hugh Jackman magic, the action. I mean, as far as just the story going, it's always tricky when you have like time travel, multiverse, jumping kind of things, because the biggest problem with it is continuity and going, okay, well now this doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense. But when you have a movie that's Deadpool and Wolverine, then that's like, that doesn't matter. That's all out the window anyway. So any problem you may have with like, oh, well, that couldn't have happened because of this happens, like, dude, it's Deadpool. The guy's talking to the audience the whole time. So as far as the story goes, all I think multiverse movies are a tad silly and tricky to do, but if anyone did it the best so far, I mean, you can't argue that Deadpool and Wolverine aren't in the top 3.
Yeah, Christina's not like the biggest Deadpool fan. She likes him, but it's not like she's crazy about him.
Like him.
And I don't know that she's really seen too many of the X-Men movies. I know we've watched we've seen Logan. I think Days of Future Past is like the only ones with like Wolverine she's actually seen.
The good ones.
The
really good ones.
She doesn't have like that big an attachment to him, but she loved this movie. She said it was her favorite one.
Excellent. That is an interesting thing. Before we move further, is Deadpool 3 your favorite out of the Deadpool franchise? Because Deadpool 1 is still, I think everyone would no, because you're a 2-man, aren't you? They're all strong films.
Yeah, I would say it. I mean, we were talking. I was talking about it with Dante too. I was like, before like John Wick, I'd put John Wick as like my favorite trilogy before they came out with 4. But this would have to be probably, I think, my favorite trilogy.
Nice. Yeah.
Like I can't think of anything else that would be even close to it. But I like the story. I feel like a lot of the problems some people had because it, and I'll call them out right now, like GameStop, you're fucking stupid. Sorry for cussing. We're trying to quit that. But they gave this movie like
a responsible story.
A 4 out of 10. And I seen other people, like, I guess I could understand if you believe it's like a 7 or something. But, like, I feel like the people who really didn't enjoy this movie were either, one, hoping somehow it's going to really kickstart the next phase of the MCU and that this was going to be the big savior with the story. And that's not ever what they intended. They even said that before the movie came out. It's like, we made this movie for fans. It's not intended just to save the MCU or to do anything like that. I feel like if you went into this movie just, I'm a critical thinker and I'm gonna pick things apart, then sure, you're not going to have a good time. But if you're going to go in and have fun, like what all 3 of the Deadpools were meant to be, then for me, this movie is 10 out of 10.
Yeah, because there's other people, but I'm glad you pointed it out too, that were kind of naysaying it. And here's one of them from IGN, which I completely disagree with. It says, in my opinion, Deadpool Wolverine is the latest in a long line of meta blockbusters we've received over the past decade or so.
I hate this article.
And it's one of the worst examples yet. These are movies that are more about themselves and in their place in the blockbuster culture than anything else, constantly making references to other films, making fun of their own weaknesses without actually addressing them, reacting to criticisms of previous franchise entries, and bursting at the seams with fan service and stunt cameos at the expense of actually exploring any worthwhile dramatic material. It's like, if that is your feeling, then do not go see a Deadpool movie, because that is exactly what this movie is intended to be.
I was saying, I kind of want to jump in, because it's funny, because I was looking at the comments under this, because this article, I think it's called, like, why we deserve better than movies like Deadpool, or where Deadpool failed for blah blah blah, and it's just a bullshit article if all you're doing is going critical thinking.
That's some clickbait for me.
You're getting bodied in the comments. I'm looking in the comments to see if people agree, not agree, especially now that you have that stupid AI generator thing at the top that tells you people's feelings, and everybody's like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And the fact that if you're on Facebook, they push this article and posted it, I think, like 6 or 7 times, where people are like, dude, why do you keep posting this? Nobody agrees with you. So I'm like, good. I'm glad that people aren't just buying into it. Like, this is BS. Like, I kind of looked at it a little bit. I'm like, dude, I just don't even think you knew what the point of this movie was then. If this is what you expected from this kind of movie, then you're probably the same person who hated, like, Mario movie because Peach got stolen and then that's just the plot. It's like, no, that's Mario. That's Mario games. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so it's nonsense. And again, there are people that are always going to be haters. If you don't like the movie, you don't like the movie. But to call it out in a way that it's exactly fan service and stunt cameos, yeah, that's what the movie is 100% meant to be.
That's what we wanted.
So with that being said, and I don't want to spoil anything with you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, go out as soon as you can, because I'm so glad I went as early as I did. Did you get anything spoiled for you at all? And don't say what it was if it did.
I only had one thing from, like, way before, but it was something, like, minor. Other than that, no. I was surprised that I made it, because Dante called me Thursday night coming home from the RV bragging about it. I'm like, I don't want to hear anything. Don't tell me anything. And surprisingly, I made it all the way through Sunday. And what's funny is, as soon as I got home from Deadpool on Sunday, because you know me, I'm on YouTube, always watching clips, all kinds
of big thumbnails,
all kinds of big thumbnails of this guy, that guy, people sitting in the theater with their camera on their fucking head, filming whatever. I'm like, dude, thank God,
so
somehow I made it.
If you haven't seen it yet, go do it, because the cameos are probably what's the best for fans that just want some good stuff for them. It is high quality stuff of who and what you get to see. The Ryan Reynolds magic, I mean, he did it again. I will say one of the best parts, and I could say that's consistent with all the movies, is they have some of the best openings ever. And when he's doing the beginning and he's slicing and dicing and there's a song playing, it's one of the best openings to a movie of all time. Everybody could not stop laughing. Sam was just gut busting the whole time. That was the best. And
Christina hated it.
Oh, did she?
She's like, I thought the movie was going to be bad because I didn't like the ending or the beginning.
The beginning, I thought, set the tempo. And then as far as the action goes, I mean, obviously you've seen in the trailers the Wolverine and Deadpool fights, but that's just a fraction of what you get to see in terms of the action and in terms of the battles. And everything about it is fantastic. And maybe next week we can do a more spoiler review. But I don't want to ruin it for anybody that hasn't seen it because it is 100. I want to go see it. I'll probably go see it again this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't seen a movie together in a while, and I would love to go see something like this. I'm thinking maybe Sunday or maybe a Monday afternoon when hopefully the audience maybe dies down. But the way it's going with the money that it's projecting, like every cinema is still being pretty packed. So
yeah,
I hope that answers your question. As far as not spoiling it, guys, that is the end of episode. Unless there's anything else you want to say about Deadpool.
Just get out there and go see it because just the chemistry between Hugh Jackman and
like
Ryan
this.
Reynolds,
It's
just
like
absolutely unreal. Just how good it is, dude. Front to back, I was not bored 1 second of that movie. I loved every second of it. It was so good. 10 out of 10 for me.
Nice. So
Spoilers.
Guys, that is the end of episode 200. Join us next time, guys, for episode 201. And until next time, guys, my name is Craig Perales. This is Mandrew Montemare. Cheers.
See you out there.
Hey, let's fucking go.